Brandon Gall. I'm the president of the student government here at Olympic College, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the college's first annual poetry community reading event.
Yay!
We have some poets here, students, faculty, administrators. I'm really excited for this. So this is a co-sponsorship between the program Blended and the Hasselwood Library. Now you probably already know what the library is, but may not know what Blended is. Blended is a program here at the college that works to highlight some of the different arts we have here. Now this could be different poets, this could be, again, artwork, short stories, really anything surrounding the arts. Now they take that and they publish it into a quarterly magazine. They send it out to the student body. Now, again, during the course of the pandemic, we lost a lot of student engagement, one of those being Blended, but it's been amazing working with both Candace Morrow and Christina Camarena, who are the co-advisors of Blended this last year as they work to revive this program. And we wouldn't be here without them today. So again, mighty thanks to both of you guys for doing all that work. So again, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce the co-advisor, Christina Camarena, as she talks more about the inside and introduces our first reader.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you, SGOC, for funding Blended, hopefully continuing to fund Blended, right? I'm just here to thank a long list of people. This is such a collaboration, and that's what's so fun about it. So, of course, we have to thank Amanda Kane, the librarian, whose idea this was, wherever she's hiding in the back. This was her idea. She pulled Candace Morrow and I in. We're the co-managing editors for Blended, which is our campus's literary and arts magazine. Also thank Amanda for the beautiful poetry corner that she's developing downstairs. So many new collections. There's some here. We hope that before you leave, you have a chance to look through these, check one out, right? Adding poetry to your life equals more joy and happiness. So we want to push these. And downstairs in the corner, there's many, many, many more titles and even more that are going to be coming out on the shelves soon. So check out our poetry collection. And thank you so much, Amanda, for loving poetry and caring about it. Thanks, of course, to Erica Coe for letting us break the quiet time rules and be upstairs and be noisy and just supporting us. Heather Newcomer, Robin Jeffrey, all the librarians and all the staff here for supporting us, for helping us plan, for helping us advertise, and just in general, librarians are the best people on earth. So we all know that, and let's be grateful. Jocelyn Crabb from the Center for Learning Innovation for recording and also mentoring and working with one of our student workers, who I'm going to introduce in a second, and Shane Standard, who's helping and in the back putting mics on and things like this. We appreciate you so much for your help. Jennifer Pebbles in communication, I don't know if she's here or not, but helped us make the marketing materials and really push them out and spread the word. Student government, of course, I've already thanked, but they support us. And thanks, Brandon, for being here and helping me out, of course. Our Blended student employees, so one of the really cool things that we got to do this year, when Candace and I took over Blended, was hire students. The idea is it's a student-run and student-led magazine. This is a lot harder than it might sound to make happen. And we're so lucky we have Sam Hayden. He's our designer, and he's also recording today and designed these lovely bookmarks over here. So you may have noticed when you came in, these bookmarks, Sam came up with these. On the front is student art that we will be publishing in our next issue of Blended that comes out at the end of this quarter. And then on the other side is the QR code to get to our Blended website. And you'll be able to find the issue there and read past issues and learn all kinds of cool things. Watch the video of this reading. All kinds of neat stuff's going on there, so go check it out. And then we have two student editors, Marco Redelick and Kevin McGinnis, whom hiding in the back row over there. They're helping us put together and edit all of the submissions that are going into our magazine this year. So that's exciting. Of course, thank you to all the students who are so very brave enough to submit to Blended and have their work published. We're incredibly lucky to have them, and all of our readers, including student readers I have student readers today who have never even been to a poetry reading before. So this is so cool. But it also reminded me of a tiny bit of etiquette. If you've never been to a poetry reading before, maybe you don't know, is we have a series of readers, and some are reading like one of their own pieces and then a published work, or some of our student readers are actually reading works written by other students that are going to be published in our magazine. We clap for each reader at the end. So instead of clapping after every poem, we let them introduce the poem, read it, tell us about or introduce the next poem, read it, and then when they're done, we give them a round of applause. And of course, we just want to clap for them the whole time, but this saves on time. And also, it's just how these things work. So there's that. Thank you to the faculty and staff who are reading today, and just everyone for being here. This is so great. We hope to do this every year and really build back up our literary and arts community here at OC. So, having listed all, did I forget anyone? Was that? Yeah, it's all on the list, but you never know. So our first reader, our very own Robin Jeffrey, who also has a book coming out, .exe, A Cadence Touring Mystery. So we brought this copy, hopefully to get signed later. And we just want to really support each other. Anyone on campus who has artwork coming out, writing, anything, we really need to work together to support each other. So we're very excited. Robin, are you ready? Come on out. All right, let's get this thing going.
So hello everybody. I'm happy today to share a couple of poems of my own creation. The first one is called Empty Hands. The sound of the clock ticking lulls me to sleep. Lyre-shaped decoration, strings resting unplucked, sacrificed to a higher art, forcing the hearer to consider time going by, trippingly, sweetly, making the music of the spheres. Turning in their orbits, the stars, the planets, blue Neptune, red Mars, yellow Venus, gray Mercury, white Saturn, singing to the invisible, infinite black of space, making music only angels can hear. Moving eternally through the moth-eaten velvet, spread too thin to last. Trajectories, rates, orbits, planes, equations. Mathematics is a way of touching the invisible, splitting up life into numbers that hold moments, that hold lifetimes. We all seem to be moving so fast. Mud-caked racetrack from when it rained the day before, tiger-striped greyhound versus elusive white bunny rabbit, ears so long you could tie them behind its head. Late for a very important date, rushing around in endless circles, never caught, time and time again. Escaping pursuers, their desires uncertain even to themselves, spending pockets full of time. Clear blue marble spinning on the street. Someone has dropped it. They do not claim it. Leave it spinning endlessly, spinning all the time of the world, bequeathed to his children, who spend their inheritance unthinkingly, pausing only occasionally to listen to the ticking of a clock on the wall. And I have one other poem to share with you today, called Memo to Self, inspired by some of my time in the office.
Yellow sticky note. Day after day it sits, staring out at the world with a single message emblazoned upon its skin. I look back at it, sideways glances through tired eyes, the tattooed tissue calling out to me, one brother to another. Strange to feel a bond between flattened pulp and full person. Yet, its existence is not so much unlike our own. After all, we all begin as blank slates. The strokes of the pen send the ink deep below the surface. Faded imprints from the one before still rest and are remembered. The spackled wall behind, universe of infinite spaces, offers what little support it can, but in the end, it all depends on individual sticking power. No lack for motivation. To fall is to spend the last lonely days of life behind a desk, drinking with dust bunnies, praying for deliverance, wondering what went wrong. Standing proudly at attention, begging to be read, understood by all or by anyone. Validation is not an easy thing to come by. Existence can be lost in an instant, without warning. Prediction impossible, preparation futile. One day it will all be over. Death comes as the end. Was there ever any impact? Was success ever truly tasted? All is a mystery. Effects cannot be seen beyond the edges of individual reality. The message carried, the purpose assumed, remains uncompleted until the day the Creator's hand reaches forth, crumples us up, and throws us in the bin. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Danielle, and I'm going to be reading a poem by Mary Oliver called Hummingbirds. The female and the two chicks, each no bigger than my thumb, scattered, shimmering. In their pale green dresses, then they rose, tiny fireworks, into the leaves and hovered. Then they sat down, each one with dainty charcoal feet, each one on a slender branch, and looked at me. I had meant no harm. I had simply climbed the tree for something to do on a summer's day, not knowing that they were there, ready to burst the ledge of their mossy nest, and to fly for the first time in their sea-green helmets with brisk metallic tails, each told wing. With every dollop of flight, drawing a perfect wheel across the air, then, with a series of jerks, they paused in front of me, and, dark-eyed, stared, as though I were a flower, and then, like 3 tosses of silvery water, they were gone, alone, in the crown of the tree. I went to China, I went to Prague, I died and was born in the spring. I found you, and loved you. Again, later, the darkness fell, and the solid moon, like a white pawn, rose. But I wasn't in any hurry. Like I visited all the shimmering, heart-stabbing questions without answers before I climbed down. Thank you.
Hello, I am Adeline Bugg. I'm going to be reading 2 poems, starting with a poem from one of our students, Liliana Jensen, called Matchsticks. We were matchsticks, bundled together, safe in our box. We were protected, young and fragile. Perhaps the most concerning problem with matchsticks in a box, all it takes is a little friction and a spark. Then there is an open flame. Watching a bonfire can be addictive. Living in a bonfire can be terrifying, dangerous, and deadly. One match, one spark, that is all it takes to start a fire. Watch and feel the heat of the flame, turning the box and the matches to ash. You put out the blaze, and you are unrecognizable. Those closest to you can leave with the most painful burns, and we all have our fair share. If you manage to survive the fires and find others like you, and they fit with you, and you fit with them, and you all fit together, you will have a deeper connection than you ever could before, because we all know what it is to feel your soul burning, and we can understand each other's pain. In time, we can grow into something stronger and less flammable. We are sturdier and surer of ourselves. We are matchsticks no more. But we still show our bittersweet burns on our hearts as reminders of the lessons and growth out of adversity, out of the ashes. And now I am going to be reading a poem by Zoe Hitzel from a book that you'll be able to find in the Poetry Corner downstairs. This poem is called Math Problem. Definition. You gather, sex means one of 2 and only 2 bodies you can be, and the body determines everything. Identity, love, dreams, the future, where you pee, what people say when you cry? Given you are told that you are male, that you have a male body, you are told these things as if they are the same. Corollary 1, since you have a male body, it is assumed you love people with female bodies, which should act as further evidence supporting your dubious maleness. Corollary 2, without romantic experience, you assume whom you love, and therefore who you are, based on what bodies tend to be prettier. Figure 1, you have a male body. Figure 2, and you know your body. Figure 3 tells you it needs to be female. Figure 4 and is freaking out. Consider, what weighs more? A ton of feathers or a ton of gravel? Directions? None. Show your work. Needing to embody female physiology. The concept makes sense, like a fear of hornets makes sense, or letters assembling into words makes sense, or pulling the blankets tighter when you're cold makes sense, and makes no sense at all. The thought most often appears unannounced to dangle in the mind for minutes, like needing to eat. It blares large and insistent, strickens like a coughing fit, nudges slight as a snowflake melting on a glove. A splinter, a kiss, burnt toast for lunch, standing in a ball field, gaping at a passing plane, disappearing into the blue summer. It coruscates longing, binds and suffuses the body like an edict. Always the thought leaping from a corner to flash dance, the center of awareness. Rationale. You guess, transsexual may explain how an absence can feel so present. Extrapolate. Slowly, the cataract noise will condense to cloud all other thought. Final answer. I will ignore this until I cannot.
Hi, I'm Martin, and I'm happy to be a part of this today. It's amazing. I'll talk louder, thank you. I have one poem to read by someone else and two to read that I wrote. And the poem I'm going to read is by Jane Kenyon, who was a poet from Michigan and then from New Hampshire, and is I believe her book of poetry, one of her books of poetry was the first book of poetry I ever bought outside of like a textbook for a class. And I have to admit that when I bought it, I didn't even know that people still wrote poetry. So I thought it was something that they did a long time ago. And but once I started reading her poetry, I never stopped, and I've been excited about it since then, and it's had a big effect on my life. So I'm going to read this poem, and it's about her dog, and I have 2 dogs, so maybe you have pets. So it's called After an Illness, Walking the Dog. Wet things smell stronger, and I suppose his main regret is that he can sniff just one at a time. In a frenzy of delight, he runs way up the sandy road, scored by freshets after 5 days of rain. Every pebble gleams, every leaf. When I whistle, he halts abruptly and steps in a circle, swings his extravagant tail. Then he rolls and rubs his muzzle in a particular place, while the drizzle falls without cease, and Queen Anne's lace and goldenrod bend low. The top of the logging road stands open and light. Another day, before hunting starts, we'll see how far it goes, leaving word first at home. The footing is ambiguous. Soaked and muddy, the dog drops, panting, and looks up with what amounts to a grin. It's so good to be uphill with him, nicely winded and looking down on the pond. A sound commences in my left ear like the sound of the sea in a shell. A downward, vertiginous drag comes with it. Time to head home. I wait until we're nearly out to the main road to put him back on the leash. And he, the designated optimist, imagines to the end that he is free. And I wrote this poem, it's called Norman. I wrote it about my grandfather who lived with me as a teenager at our house. He spoke to lamps. He talked to the wingback no one sat in. He was tall and had bad knees. When he stopped, just fixed there in the dark, stiff as a coat rack. He would have to leave, not because he wanted to drive the car or hunted the patio for a bathroom, but when he began to suspect we were strangers, not children and grandchildren. I often think of him. He asked my mother to feed 10,000 shadows and whistled to the black cat painted on a woodblock. At Baptist Haven, his knees gave, he lay like a limp marionette. But what I remember most is his face the night he ordered hamburgers from the television and danced for all my friends, how he almost cried as he laughed along with us. And this poem doesn't really have a title, so I'm just going to read it. I want to live where it is always night, where the tire swing is invisible, and a house is 4 bright windows. Sometimes the stars are big and cold. They take you by surprise. Rub your hands together. It has clouded over. The moon plays like a dance hall jukebox. Someone's standing in the parking lot. Someone's cooling off a drunk. I'd like to live in a night on the deck. Plenty of beer and mosquitoes, stale chips beached in an empty green bowl. Where a river meets limestone shoals, the wind blows all wrong and a neighbor's cat is always missing. Night is an empty skiff on the lake, radio on the seat, talking at fish, dreaming they're listening. I want to live with a woman who keeps lamps low, who hears rain in trees before it rains, and leaves the screen door wide. We don't mind mopping up. I want night turned by the fan above my bed. A train's grief wakes the whole damn town, and breaking glass is a bird wrecking the kitchen. The streetlight's arrhythmia finally does it in. We let the porch go dark. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Quan, and I'm gonna be reading a poem from when I was in high school in Vietnam. So this poem is about it's a heart self-expression with humanistic thought about the country and the life of poetry, about the love of life and the resilience of the Vietnamese people. So the poem was actually written during the Vietnam War, and the author was on his deathbed. But regardless of the situation, the poem was filled with positivity, happiness, and the belief in the longevity and the independence of his beloved country. So, here I go. So, mọc giữa dòng sông xanh, một bông hoa tím biếc. Ơi con chim chiền chiện, hót chi mà vang trời. Từng giọt long lanh rơi, tôi đưa tay tôi hứng. Mùa xuân người cầm súng, lộc dắt đầy quanh lưng. Mùa xuân người ra đồng, lộc trải dài nương mẹ. Tất cả như hối hả, tất cả như xôn xao. Đất nước 4.000 năm, vất vả và gian lao. Đất nước như vì sao, cứ đi lên phía trước. Ta làm con chim hót, ta làm một cành hoa. Ta nhập vào hòa ca, một nốt trầm sao xuyến. Một mùa xuân nho nhỏ, lặng lẽ dâng cho đời. Dù là tuổi 20, dù là khi tóc bạc. Mùa xuân ta xin hát, câu Nam An Nam Bình. Nước non ngàn dặm mình, nước non ngàn dặm tình. Nhịp phách tiền đất Huế. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Eva Kimball, math faculty here. And before I read this, everyone else shared a funny story, so I will share mine. I've always been, I don't want to say harassed by my parents, but constantly told that my shirt was up or my pants were too far down and I was showing some skin. So it wasn't until my 20s when I snapped and my dad said, "You need to fix your shirt." And then I took my shirt off and said, "It looks fine to me." So, did it happen? Yes. Was it everything I thought it was going to be? Yes. So, my question to you is, do you want to get deviant? Nothing against the law. Let's just stop being convenient. Smiling when you want to snarl, feeling like this is how you'll survive. Move through this fear that you're already in, because on the other side, you'll feel alive. Let's be deviant. Let them explain that joke that caused pain that was really just bullshit in an attempt to show wit. Just stop being convenient. When someone wrinkles at your cellulite, tell them, "Oh, that's just my thigh grip," and you know the shit is tight. That's right. Let's shout our worth. Don't offer me a dime when you know I've been priceless since birth. Let's be deviant. Don't tell me I'm brave because I have the nerve to be a weed among roses, taking from the earth what I deserve. Be deviant. Think, act, fight, trust. We are the mountain the river goes around us. Assault the restrictions that keep us in our jurisdictions, and you bet we park our fat asses where they aren't allowed. Because we are here, we are done, but we are not finished. Above all, we are proud. So, you don't have to take your shirt off. But do you want to get deviant?
Yes.
LOC. My name is Robert Hudson. I'm a second-year student here at Olympic College, graduating at the end of the summer quarter, and doing things I could have never imagined while sitting in my 8x10 cell at Walla Walla. For a crime I did commit. Addiction drove me to commit. Things like reading the poetry I was writing in front of an audience. Yet here we are. Today, with over 3 years in addictive recovery, in active recovery, I am excited to read for you a mix of my writings and a couple of poems available here at the Hazelwood Library. The first of mine, "How many days? How many days, Lord, must I wait, before from this prison they'll open the gate? I know that it's coming the day I go home. I pray for the day when freely I'll roam. No matter how long the time I must wait, long as you're there as I walk through the gate." These next two are real short, so also written during my incarceration. The first one is "It." Do you have it? Do you need it? Can you see it? Can you be it? Do you know it? Or do you think it? If you believe it, you will be it. So what about it? Be about it. God's children, my children, your children, their children, our children, his children, her children, grandchildren, stepchildren, all children are God's children. Now I'm going to read from Indelicate Angels. The author is Emmanuel Garcia Santolinis. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. It's published by the Black Rose Press in 2014, and the title is "The Slap." I was never convinced you would not slap me, having as a boy seen it done to a man, so sure of love as grease and oil pans, who found counsel away from crowds in the familiar smells of his garage. Tools in cardboard boxes, bargain Pruitt swap meets, a bowl-shaped dented hubcap used to soak parts in WD-40, then wrung dry with an old shirt, sturdy blue plastic modeled dairy milk crate, used as a footstool to help lean against musty army blanket draped over the fender beneath the hood of his '75 Valiant. There to fondle the phantom of her fierce hand lay waste against her skin ablaze. Another short one by myself, Forgiven. Forgiven by you, forgiven it's true. Tell me it's so, oh how can I know? Forgiven it's true, forgiven by you. His story. Here's a little rhyme for the ages, for all time. Indeed you'll want to hear about a God who draws us near. So loved us every one, he gave his only son, that if only you should call, he'd give his all in all. Oh, how great a God he is that makes us one of his. Respecter of no man, he'll save you, yes he can. You know he'll make the task, but only if you ask. One day. One day doesn't seem like a lot. Shouldn't require much more than a thought. So why do we struggle and why do we strain? One day at a time shouldn't cause us much pain. If only we learn to live day by day, surely the victory will find us this way, one day. And one more from Indelicate Angels. If Naomi were my lover. Why it stuck with me, I have no idea. I promise not to last forever, to leave only the impression of my body, the scent of ravenous words, tongues against teeth, then draw back into my own to measure the impermanence I am. And one last one I'll leave you with. Answer the call. The phone rings, you know what to do. As a child screams, so should you too. A neighbor needs help, a friend needs your time. None of these things will cost you a dime. So answer the call, it's what you should do. After all, Jesus did it for you.
Hello, my name is Nadia Watkins. I will be reading a poem that will be in the next issue of Blended. This poet's name is Roberto O'Keeffe, and the title is Everyone's Waste. To those who are two-faced, just know that our waste goes to the same treatment place. Best believe that our stools will not misplace as the citizens' tax dollars go to waste. The flow of liquids in a fast pace, tanks, meters, and acceleration are the showcase. Through differing beliefs we embrace, our internal biome bacteria interlace. Chemically processed with little aftertaste, it's a never-ending fleet of engineering grace. Hooray for the sewage treatment place, so next time you go, don't do it in haste. Think of your contribution to the human race. The next poem is by Ross and Queen, and it is about dyslexia because I have been dealing with dyslexia since I was a young kid, so it's a little bit more fast-paced. Words are hard. I don't mean talking, I don't mean chats, I mean that words are walking all over the page. They are hard, they are bats. I'm in a rage. Letters are mad things. They swirl about, drafts as bushes, in and out. They won't stay in the book. They stop, they rush. There one goes. Look, I think carefully how I might just catch an A. I think I've seen one now, but zap, it flew away. I'm going to creep up sneakily. Now watch as I lasso a bee. Maybe if I tread carefully, I can make it be friends with me. But it's gone, see? It's gone all hazy into a D. No, 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 I'm not lazy. It isn't me. The alphabet is crazy. All of it, yeah, all 26 letters don't stop their tricks. Catch them now, do it quick before they all spill. Lock them up, chain them, knock them down, brain them, tame them and restrain them, put them in borders, put them all in order. They make me sick. My teacher sighs, my mom cries. I ain't lying, I'm trying, but I'm about done with reading. I don't think it's reading I'm needing. It's racing and chasing and rushing and whirling and gusting and whirling and floating and roaring, just like letters, be better. That is it.
Hello, I'm Candace Morrow. I was mentioned earlier in the thank yous, so yeah. I brought a few poems to read. These are a few of my poems, some new things, some published things, just a little mix. And I've been writing a lot lately about my father. He was recently diagnosed with cancer, and poetry is where I go when I need to sit within myself, right? And I usually think of fiction as where I need to go when I need to escape. But I have been sitting with myself a lot lately. So this first one is called A Photograph of My Father on Shore. It's forthcoming in Unoya Review in the summer. A photograph of my father on shore. He hangs in my grandmother's bathroom, and for decades I squint at his silhouette. It's not until after her funeral that I discover those aren't 100 seagulls, but one pacing the sky. Snapshots of her path superimposed on each other. That's not one man, but 100, each standing in the shoe prints of the one before him. Washing my hands, I pray that one of these men will look up and see the bird and see that she is happy. Because I am not religious, I pray to the morning light lazing about my grandmother's curtains, to her bar of lavender soap, to her photograph of the face of the man I am praying for. Opening the door, I pray for the first time to my grandmother's ghost. Someday, please, give me the strength to be the man, and please, give the man the strength to be the bird. Okay. Here's another for my papa. This is called Rise. It was recently published in Prometheus Reading. Grandma Tinny rose bread on the floorboard of the family car because 2 hours in our New Mexican sun is all it takes for perfection. My 7-year-old body rose off the floor a quarter inch, a quarter possession, feet and head pinned epileptic, but for the world resembling ecstasy. You rose me between your teeth like a knife to free your hands as you climbed out of marriage with my mother. I saved a rose once, and for so long I forgot why I'd saved it. I want to say now that it was from a lover, but probably it was not. Jesus rose, and the funny thing is I dreamt about Grandma Tinny rising from her grave, and you were there, back from California, your spine sharpened on cocaine, your vertebrae under a borrowed button-down like a line of overturned petals. Wait, the funny thing I'm getting to is that my back is now the same, to make sure I reach, to touch it, tap it, count it, to feel the danger of it, the grace, to own my own bone rosary. I want to say now that it is from a lover, but probably it is not. And probably loving me has only ever been a contact high. In my dream, I asked if Tinny's bread raised in a 65 Jeep Wagoneer had been any good. You said the best. I said, are you sure? After all the bread you've tasted since, are you sure you can remember? And you said, yes. Okay. Switching it up a little. This is called Waiting with Women New to Divorce Court. If you've been there, you know. Okay, that's all I gotta say. If you've been there a couple times, you really know. Okay. Waiting with women new to divorce court. What you still don't know is how the next relationship will feel like scraping wallpaper, paper skin, layer after layer down an infinite hallway while your children follow you, stopping periodically to open like wounds. Are they okay? This tapped in Morse code by your new lover who walks on the other side of one wall of your hallway. You tap back, they are perfect. even as you stuff gauze into their open mouths and hoist the youngest onto your back, even as you pick up the chisel, ruffle the eldest hair, and hand him the flashlight. And later you say, to no one in particular, they are my gifts. Of course, what you really mean is that they are giving you the opportunity to walk this hallway, and you scrape. Okay, the last poem today is called Poetry as Jaywalking, and this poem has 3 voices in it, a they, the poet, and God. So poetry is jaywalking. They say, what is God? Too easy, the poet says. Ask a hard one. They say, what is poetry? Poetry is jaywalking toward God. Ask another. Ask a hard one. Ask what is baby, smell, buttered toast, cancer throat. Ask what happens in my body when my body wants your body. Ask a hard one. Ask about the bees, social media, and my friend who swears Trump saves and Black Lives Matter, much more and not so much respectively, the former and the latter. We don't talk anymore, but don't ask about that. Ask about the measurement of anything at all. Ask about what is the distance of an object. This from God. I'll be damned. Want to take this one, or shall I? You. When my son was 3, he woke in the middle of the night and led me to his room. Shh, he said, I have a present for you. He gestured for me to kneel, and we peeked under the curtains, fabric tickling our cheeks, carpet scratching our knees. The moon, he said, it's for you. But don't worry, it is spying on us. In other words, thanks for showing up, but it is nothing at all. Thanks.
We had extra time, and I hadn't planned on reading anything, and I have not really read through this poem, but I saw it. It came from our collection. It has not been cataloged yet. I saw it, and I thought of what I've been doing for the last couple of years, which is digging out this willow tree that's buried in years of styrofoam and concrete, because people have tried to suppress this willow so that it doesn't block a view. And so this is called The Willow, and it's by Vladimir Sulikin, and it's translated by Daniel Weissport, and it's in one of our books from our collection about trees. The willow. The willow over the potato patch is the least lucky of all the trees of our village. The spot has been turned into a rubbish dump. Yes, in the first place, no one knows whose it was, who planted it there, or why. We don't know. If it's always clean and tidy as a peasant's hut, round other, perfectly ordinary, pleasant willows, round that God-forsaken one, all manner of trash is piled. People bring scrap iron, galoshes, boots, not fit for anything now, of course. If they were any good at all, they wouldn't be there. And when the cat dies, it's dumped by the tree. So encircled is the poor willow with old boots, rags, and rotting cats, that it's advisable to give it a wide berth. But still, when May comes, the willow, up to its knees in muck, suddenly becomes gently to gild itself. It doesn't give a damn about the torn galoshes, the jars and tins, the old clothes. It blossoms as do all its earthly sisters. Shyly it blossoms, with innocent flowers so pure. Turned toward the sun for the first time opening, and the sun shines, and the whole tree smells of honey. And incidentally, bees fly to it. in spite of the rubbish lying at its foot, and bear away the translucent honey of its flowers to people who abuse trees.
So that was wrapping up our last reader. I'm not going to come out here and read anything. I'm not that smart, and that was some tough readings to follow up. But I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. It was so great seeing everyone, and thank you to all our readers. This was actually the first poetry reading that I've attended, and one thing I learned was just how powerful poetry is. Just hearing the passion behind it and being able to feel the vulnerability of the readers. And it's not every day that you can say that your former math teacher flashed their father when in their 20s. So, that's a story that I'll have to share with my parents when they say, "What'd you do today?" This is what I learned. Again, I just want to thank the whole Blended staff, Christina, Candace, I don't know where you are, and again, all the staff for putting this event together. Can we please give a hand for them, please? I know they've done incredible work. And that's pretty much it. On your way out, don't forget to grab a bookmark over here. This was done by a student themselves, and they cut them into bookmarks and actually add up some more photos. There's a poetry cart here. Make sure you check one out, and be on the lookout for the Blended magazine that's going to be coming out this quarter. Awesome. Thank you everyone for coming. Oh yeah.